Hi, everyone, and welcome to Val Talks Pets, the forum for pet parents and enthusiasts alike. Having been in the pet industry for over 10 years now, I'm going to share with you issues and questions that arise as I work with pet parents on a day-to-day basis. I am not a veterinarian, but I do have certifications in canine, feline, small animal, fish and herptile, and avian health and nutrition from the University of California, Davis Extension.
Hi, everyone, and thanks for joining me on this episode of Val Talks Pets. On this episode, I have the great pleasure of speaking with Souha Ezzedeen, author of the book, The Way of Life Method. Souha is a very talented dog trainer with an innovative and creative method of raising our dogs to be sound and spirited companions. So, get out those notebooks as I speak with Souha in part 1 of this 2-part interview. Hi, Souha. Welcome to Val Talks Pets.
Hi, Val.
Hey.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, I'm just super exciting to have you on. And I have your book, and I'm really having a good time with that, too. Have been reading through your book. And I've been quite taken with some of your client stories and especially your approach to rearing dogs. Yes. So I thought before we got into some of the specifics of your method, I thought maybe you could share how you got into professional dog training and what brought you into this career. Because you actually have another career too, right?
I do have another career, and another career that I love and that I'm still active in.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So I can take you back 20 years ago, Val, when I was a business school PhD student in management and organizational behavior. And we are basically the behavior nerds of the business world. Okay. So it's our job to understand the mechanics of how people behave and what gets people going and motivated to perform and to commit and to be loyal to organizations. So we become very much well-versed in all things behavior. Okay, so keep that in the back of your mind, because I was a PhD student at the time and looking at a career as a business school professor with this expertise in behavior. But I was also so anxious to be done so that I could go and fulfill the dream of getting a dog, because up until that point, it had just been the dogs of the family or the dogs of my grandmother that I'd grown up seeing and falling in love with, and seeing this incredible lifestyle of someone that lives surrounded by animals. But that dream had to be put on the shelf and kept in trust somewhere until I was able to fulfill it once I was done with graduate school.
It's a lot of work. Yeah.
It is so much work. And not to mention the economic circumstances of PhD students is not exactly, comfortable to allow, at least back then, proper care of a dog the way I would have wanted it. So I never imagined that I would even cared to become a professional dog trainer or even become well-versed in dog behavior. I just wanted a dog. I wanted my business school career and as a professor and academic and sharing my life with dogs. And then I ended up with one that was exceptionally challenging and demanded that I go beyond simply being a responsible dog owner that's trying to do the best by her dog, and actually really understand why we were struggling so much, because we were doing what the mainstream advice, the training recommendations that were available, I'm applying them with such diligence and not only not going anywhere, but digging our heels even deeper in problems with this dog. 5 years go by on this journey of trying to figure out what to do with her and how to deal with her issues, which were severe. They included aggression towards other dogs, which I didn't know to regulate better back then, stay on top of back then. There were elements of separation anxiety and submissive urination, but also overall a very unhappy dog. That was really clearly what it looked like. I had a very unhappy, anxious.
Was she from a rescue?
Restless. Yeah, she was.
Oh, okay.
She was. And she was young, you know. She was about 6 months.
Yeah.
Had already been bounced around. I'm sure you've heard, you know, so many of these classic stories.
Yeah,
we
do. Yeah.
Right? The dogs that got bounced around and moved from a shelter to another, a home to another, etc. But then I was so lucky that I come across a series of teachers whom I talk about in my book.
Yes.
Mentors and teachers. My mentor, Sam Malatesta, for example. My herding trainer, Kathy Warner, whom I adore. And my former vet, Sharon Kopenak, who passed away a few years ago. I don't know if you know about her, because I did see some of your episodes include, you know, stuff about holistic health.
Yeah, a lot. Yeah, a lot.
You have a lot of, you know, in this domain, and she was very much, you know, a groundbreaking figure in that field. So those different teachers together chiseled something very different than what I was. A different person. Understood dogs differently, saw them differently, and lived with them differently.
Okay.
So I had to get to a certain level of expertise where it wasn't just enough for me to just do well with my own dogs, and where I felt I had an obligation, Val, to share what I know. And so I started my business in 2019, and very quickly I started writing the book. So we can get into the details of that, but essentially I wrote it very quickly because it requires a different way of thinking. That instead of spending all this time trying to teach people this different way, I said, I just need to put it in a book and have this available for people near and far.
Yeah.
So the credit is to this incredible dog, basically.
So this was German Shepherd Maya.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And and how did that go with Maya, and how did...
Yes. It went by incredibly successfully once I understood that secret that we're all after, you know, to have our dogs be happy and healthy. And it had very little to do with her, Val.
Okay.
Truly.
Yeah.
It had a lot more to do with our way of life.
You meaning your way of life?
Our way of life
like
together. Our way of life together.
Okay.
Which included the basics of her existence, where we go, what we do, who does she get to be around, and truly the devil's in the details. You know, and I tell my clients all the time is that we've become very proficient at training dogs, okay, for all sorts of sophisticated sports or service work or therapeutic work. But we're also struggling huge with behavior.
Yeah.
Than ever before.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Yeah. Yep.
Right? Yep. And my key argument is that we're proficient at training, but we need improvement in our understanding of how to actually live with a dog.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Which all the decisions that we're making on behalf of this dog when we are not actively training.
Right. Okay.
Right? So where is the dog? Where does she get to go? Who is she around? How do I see her? What is my perception of what a good dog is? Right?
Yeah.
Because if I put on her the expectation that she ought to be friendly with everyone, which is one of the expectations we put on dogs these days, I was doomed to failure with her. She's a very selective dog. But once I understood that isn't just true of her, but true of dogs in general, actually, you know, to greater or lesser degrees. And I stopped expecting her to like everybody and give her the choice of who to mingle with and who to mix with, and protecting her instead, you know, and setting her up to succeed with whomever I wanted her to eventually meet, doing it gradually instead of boom, right? Immediately expecting her to like things or other dogs or situations. And that's just a minor example, Val,
Yeah.
of the different decisions that fall under a dog's way of life. And because she was such a sound, amazing dog at the core, having a really hard time with her way of life, it wasn't long before she really started to show me who she was all this time.
Okay.
So there are times I meet clients that really remind me of Maya. Not long ago, I met a client with a standard poodle at a seminar who was giving this woman a very hard time, running off and not being particularly good with other dogs and whatever. And when I saw her in a seminar situation where we're doing exercises that evaluate bond, that evaluate a dog's desire to work for somebody, that evaluate a dog's desire to ignore things and focus on their person, this dog shined in an incredible way. So I said to the woman, treat her like a pet. You're going to have a hard time. Treat her like the dog that she is and you won't.
Was she able to assimilate what that meant?
I think she got it.
You not a pet, but the one, like how did someone...
I absolutely think she got it, yes.
Yeah, like how does someone sort of absorb that and see the difference?
Yes, I think in that moment it clicked for her. Because I don't think she was expecting me to be this complimenting of her dog. And meanwhile, I was just in awe of this dignified dog that just wanted someone to handle her properly and give her boundaries and give her guidance and not expect her to play with 10 other dogs she just met.
Okay.
If she's got more of a serious streak to her, more of a working dog or standard poodles too.
Yeah, they're smart.
Right? They're incredibly intelligent, versatile.
Mm-hmm.
And she could see how she had actually shortchanged that dog.
Okay.
Treating her unfairly by wanting her to be this perfect pet that gets along with everyone and everything immediately.
Okay.
Without giving her the benefit of treating her like the dog that she is.
Okay.
First.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So it includes how you think, Val, and it includes, like I said, those decisions that you're making in your way of life. And as you said earlier, this is a method of rearing.
Yeah, raising
as opposed to training. Now, training absolutely has its place. Don't get me wrong.
We know that, yeah.
Right? We know that. And at the start of our conversation, we got into, cadaver dogs a little bit. And I mean, in sport and disciplines, in work, you absolutely need to train for skill.
Mm-hmm.
But rearing is a bit of a different dynamic because rearing is more about instilling a certain character.
Mm-hmm.
In this dog, right?
Interesting.
And so in your day-to-day decisions, you create a way of life that over time produces an incredible dog that is sound, strong-spirited.
Okay.
As I've seen the title of my book.
Yes, absolutely. I'm trying to sort of get an understanding in terms of, say someone has their dog and they're doing everything. I'll give you an example of someone that I see. Now they got a dog from a rescue organization down in the States. It's a Rhodesian Ridgeback crossed with probably Coonhound or Catahoula. So it's big. It's a big dog. And some pretty, so she got the dog. It came to them young, like you were saying with Maya.
Yeah.
The first time I saw her, this woman had just had her back broken.
Oh, my.
By the dog.
Oh, my.
Yeah. So she was she'd had all kinds of, procedures, this and that. The next time I saw her, her arm was in a sling because her shoulder was dislocated by the dog. And the last time I just saw her fairly recently, she was on crutches because her ankle was broken. by the dog.
Oh my.
Terrible. I mean, I'm telling you.
And she's still holding on strong, eh?
She is. Now she's had trainers come in and she's, one-on-one and you name it. And the dog is very strong. There's no doubt about that. And my first thought originally was, I think this is too much dog for her. I was thinking that was my first inclination. I'm thinking, it's too much dog for you. It's a big dog. It needs someone younger, more, but, and she said that the last accident happened because the dog was on the deck. Everything was fine. She was holding on to it. It was completely relaxed, just like all their training. But then it saw something, and I don't know if it was a rabbit or whatever, but it took off after it. She tried to hold it back. It pulled her off of the deck. And so she fell in such a way that she did something to her ankle. And the back one was really bad when the dog broke her back. That was quite something. I said to her, I don't know if I've ever heard of anyone with the amount of patience, tenacity that you have with this dog.
Mm-hmm.
You're still hanging in there. And she said, there's so many positives, but there's just these things that happen. And she has been working with a trainer and everything. Mm-hmm. But I'm just like, what on earth? Like most people, after accident number 2, they'd be like, that's it. I can't do this anymore, Mm-hmm. But she's hanging in there. I have met this dog. It's a very big dog. It's a very powerful dog.
Mm-hmm.
What do you do when someone in that kind of situation? I'm not sure how someone like that would understand the idea of creating the life relationship that you're talking about. So I'm just using that as an example so that we could apply, so I could understand how your method apply to someone like that.
Great question. And, this is such a good example because, Val, I'm sure you know this, sometimes all the training in the world and the best methods in the world cannot make up or compensate for the fact that you could be having a very poor fit, right? Between even and the dog. I mean, there's all different kinds of people, and there's all different kinds of dogs.
Yeah,
and we're not always a good match. I can't say that I was necessarily a great match for Maya with the amount of power that she had, and then the amount of experience that I had back then.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah.
So, if we think of the method as including 5 elements, all right, it includes 5 elements. So very quickly, Val, it includes the idea that we do things in stages.
Yes.
Right? And there's 3 stages, which roughly correspond to childhood, adolescence, adulthood.
Right.
Okay? There's drive development. There's space and boundaries. There's socialization, and then the mindset of the human. So there's these 5 elements. So just to give you a very quick, summary of how I would deal with someone like that is that we would have a conversation about those 5 elements. We would do an audit, basically.
Okay.
Of those 5 elements. So very quickly, for example, with the idea of stages, one of the very powerful things about this method is the idea that you've got to go back to a certain stage and then take off from there. So people will contact me and they'll say, well, I'm wondering if I'm stage 2 or 3. And I'm saying, regardless where you were at or what you're struggling with, the power of this method lies in going back to your foundations, going back to basics, assuming you just brought this dog home.
Okay. Regardless of age, right?
Regardless of age.
Yeah. Okay.
And even if you've lived with that dog for however many years, which was the case with me and Maya, I was living with her for however many years, and then we went back. Right. That can be challenging for people, but very powerful for the dog.
Right. Okay.
But you give them that good reset. All right. And your mantra is let's try this again, shall we?
Yep.
Right? That's what's guiding you. So there's the idea that you're dealing with this dog as a child at stage 1. Child, not as a human child, but as a juvenile, as a puppy almost mentally. Okay? Because if you think about it, Val, when a dog is new in someone's home, when they have a rescue background, when they've been dealing with all sorts of behavioral issues for however many years, what is the state of maturity in that dog? Please tell me.
Yeah, I get it, because hasn't had the ability, hasn't had the opportunity.
So it's very much still immature.
Right.
Juvenile. And that's not something I'm holding against the dog, but that is a very powerful idea that is guiding my behavior when I'm at the beginning with the dog. And so I'm treating them a bit more like a juvenile, like they don't know any better. Okay? So I don't assume they're going to be friendly to strange dogs because I don't know them.
Okay.
I don't assume they're going to be good with people because I don't know them. Okay. So I kick in the space and boundaries, which is the other element. With a child, what do? We protect their space and boundaries. They're not allowed to go check people out, and not every Tom, Dick, and Harry is allowed to come touch my kid. It's the same idea.
Yeah. Okay, I get it.
Right? And that happens everywhere in nature.
Yeah.
We do it with our human kids.
Yeah.
Every single animal does it with their kids. But we don't do it with our dogs.
Yeah. We let people, come up and we think they're going to be good with the other people.
Correct.
Dog and that kind of thing. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right?
I do see some people who say, no, actually, he's not comfortable with strangers petting him.
Yeah. And that's good. And that's good. But the method is even more systematic about that. But it's not about the dog's comfort level. It's about the idea that I'm just getting started with this dog. This dog hardly knows me. So we're going to say hi to you a little later.
Okay.
See what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's not the dog dictating based on their comfort level, which makes them actually very uncomfortable to realize that they're the ones who have to decide. Meanwhile, I'm the one saying you don't need to decide. I'm the one deciding. You just landed into my home. You barely know me. We're not going to go out and socialize with everybody. And so that kicks in the other leg of socialization.
Okay.
Right? And this is where people can also have a hard time, Val, because we so stress this idea of socializing our dogs. Right? It's the cause of every problem. It is the solution to every problem. And meanwhile, can someone please tell me exactly what socialization is?
I read that in your book, and you were saying about the same thing. All the trainers, the vets, and everything is like it's vital between these months and of the puppy's life, for example, and this length of exactly to this. It's vital that they're introduced to everything.
Yeah.
But I mean, are there issues with a dog that's not been introduced to things in that age group?
This is a great question. Great question. So I'll tell you. Are there sensitive periods of development? No doubt. No doubt. And they're universal, right? Think about our development into teenage, how it can be so angsty and challenging for many of us, right? This transition from childhood to adulthood. And even the research in organizational behavior tells you about emerging adults. So in between teen and adulthood, there's emerging adulthood.
Yeah,
right? The early 20s that, the quarter life crisis that many people in their 20s can experience. So no doubt there are sensitive periods. But that does not mean that now my job is to blast this dog with excess exposures without me having already the benefit of a foundational relationship between this dog and I. And so what I do in the book is that I break down socialization into steps that increase in challenge.
Okay. That makes sense.
Right? And that they start with what I call, Val, primordial socialization. So the word primordial has prime in it. Primitive, primary, basic.
Mm-hmm.
And the whole guide of this method is the behavior of the mother dog, the behavior of wolf packs, right? So when I'm first getting started with a dog, I'm keeping it to the socialization between, it's just you and me, baby,
Mm-hmm.
right? If you look at a mother dog, when she first gives birth, she's so fiercely protective.
Mm-hmm.
Not so much because she's worried about something happening to her pups, but because she knows that bond has to be primary. There can't be other elements coming in and interfering with this very primal bond.
Mm-hmm.
That I call primordial socialization. And it involves everything we're doing with our dogs. I first bring a dog into my life. It's my first time walking him, brushing him, taking him to the vet, putting a leash on him. All of that is socialization, primordial socialization.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the primary thing that dogs and puppies should get during those sensitive periods, is an understanding of who is my person.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Who is, where do I look for guidance?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Right? So that is primordial socialization.
Mm-hmm.
And you keep building up on that throughout the lifetime of the dog. It's not something that you do when you're done doing. Every experience with your dog is an opportunity to socialize better with our dogs. In other words, deepen our bond with them, if that makes sense.
Yeah, so you were not just limiting this to the beginning stages with a puppy. We can continue this as they're getting older.
Yeah.
And I also think, I don't know what you think on this one, but even as a dog becomes more senior, there's things that happen to them as they go into the senior years. So there's other ways that we probably need to adjust our expectations, but at the same time, things that they may not, at one time they're totally fine with, but now that they're senior, they have a problem with that.
100%.
So we have to adjust and have them come to us to look for guidance.
Yes.
How do we deal with it?
So in those vulnerable years.
Yeah.
Definitely. And, in many ways, once you start to understand the stages, the stage 1, 2, and 3, stage 3 is the adulthood of the dog. But as the dog starts to get quite old, quite senior, it's almost like we're going back a bit to stage 1.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Where I've got to protect them more.
Yes.
I'm limiting some of the things.
Yeah.
I'm limiting the crazy.
Yeah.
Right? But with my stage 2 and stage 3 dogs, we're out in the world. We're doing with wonderful foundations.
Mm-hmm.
But then we need to go back to that simpler time when we have a very old dog that just doesn't want to participate the way they once did.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right? It changes for them.
It changes. Absolutely, it does.
So when because I was looking at you have, in your way of life method, you've got, to begin with, your dog training is redefined for you.
Yes.
So you're redefining the sort of status quo type training thing into a more inclusive.
Yes.
What other words can we think of? They're more
holistic.
Yeah.
All encompassing, comprehensive.
Mm-hmm.
And Val, we love our dogs so much that we don't question the things we do with them that are outside training, right? We're thinking we've got the best of intentions. How could we possibly be a part of the problem? And I'm not trying to blame anybody, but I'm trying to get the power back, right? I'm trying to tell you, all of those decisions, your dog is aware of them.
Mm-hmm.
They're reading us based on these decisions that we're making and evaluating whether we are a worthy leader.
Yeah.
They have an inner guidance system that has been honed over tens of thousands of years of living with us, right? Where they can tell who is someone that I can be myself with and who is someone where I got to hide behind a mask of reactivity and separation anxiety because I'm not sure they get it.
When you say about the separation anxiety, I mean, I have never heard so many times this word in the last few years. I mean, obviously exacerbated through COVID, but with COVID dogs and everything. But I like, a woman just said it to me today. She asked me for a certain thing she was looking for. Oh, his anxiety is off the charts. And I was looking at this dog and I thought, this dog doesn't look anxious to me at all. But obviously I'm not there in other times or anything. But I was thinking to myself, dog doesn't look anxious to me at all. However, she seemed to think so. And said that, this dog's anxiety is off the chart. And I thought, I've had $1 for every time I hear that word, where did this come from? Where did this overblown dogs with anxiety come from? Where did it come from?
This is such a great question. And you know why it's such a great question, Val? Because somehow we know that behind separation anxiety is anxiety, behind reactivity is anxiety, behind possession over food is anxiety. We think anxiety is the root cause. But your question is taking us deeper in the sense of, okay, where's that anxiety coming from?
Where is it coming from?
Where is it coming from? So in the book, I talk briefly about anxiety being generally defined, whether in people or in dogs, as a general state of apprehension in the face of demands that we are not sure we can fulfill.
Okay. Let's explore that.
Okay. So let's explore that. The expectations that I'm putting on my dogs to be social with everyone, to love everyone, to know how to behave immediately in all situations. Those expectations, the dogs know they can't fulfill. The expectation of, I get you on the Thursday, by Friday you should be my perfect pet and fit into my dream and fit into the agenda that I had for you.
Yeah.
And so the dog can tell that we have an agenda for her, that she's not ready to deliver just yet. I give this dog freedom she's not ready for. Okay. And the world of dog training is so huge now on giving dogs freedom and agency and choice. And so again, I take you to the archetype of the child or juvenile. Does a juvenile require freedom and agency? Or do they require structure and guidance? So that they can be matured into a state of agency, that they can practice correctly, right? The whole idea of the stages is to get to stage 3, where I have a dog that is free, that is included, minimal control, maximum choice. But if that's what I'm giving at stage 1, I'm never going to get it at stage 3, ever. But if it's strict and structured, gradually guide this dog in the world, I take my time with experiences. Socialization follows that ladder that I describe in the book. Then what I'm doing is maturing that dog towards that state of being social, of being obedient, of being responsibly free. All of these are hallmarks of an adult, mature dog. But when you bring that new dog home and you don't give him the benefit of stage 1, you're going to build on anxiety because you never gave that dog that time to start simple and then build on that.
Yeah, okay. I see where we're going here. I'll go to someone else who was saying to me.
But could I go back?
Yeah, go, please.
Val, to your client or associate with the Rhodesian?
Yeah.
Right? So very quickly, we talked about how you would assume that you just got this dog. You're giving them a good reset, right? And you're not assuming they know anything. You're giving them space and boundaries. So we would audit the amount of freedom that was given this dog too soon, right? We would audit the amount of socialization that dog was expected to deliver. Okay? And also, very importantly, we would talk about the attitude of the person. So there's a big difference between someone saying, oh, well, he's a rescue.
Yeah.
Right? Versus someone saying, you had a bit of a hard time in the past, but with the way of life method, we can turn the page.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And very importantly, last one, in particular with a dog of this breed, is that we would talk about the other element of the method, which is drive development. Let's talk about this dog. Let's talk about his breed. Let's talk about his instincts, the things he needs where he could shine, whether it's scent work, whether it's exercises, putting all this power somewhere.
Redirect this energy to something that's positive.
Something that's positive, that's appropriate to his breed.
Yeah.
But also very important, Val. Sometimes what can appear as a dog that is a lot of dog, that is very powerful. Mm-hmm. Yes, it's true. It could be the breed, and in this case, definitely is Rhodesian and whatever. But also anxiety makes a dog appear hyper.
Yeah.
Right? In a way that you're like, oh my God, I need to exercise this dog. He's so hyper. He needs exercise. And no, align the elements of the method. This dog will start calming down. There is not a breed that is designed to be hyper and anxious. None. All the time.
Yeah.
Are some more sensitive? And more likely to become reactive or anxious if not handled correctly, for sure. The herding breeds in particular, but also your hunting types that have so much of that, right?
Yep.
So we would talk about all of those elements and also keep in mind the idea of what am I looking at? What I'm looking at is a powerful dog, but what I see quickly, Val, is a dog that is overtrained and poorly managed.
Yeah, I'm thinking, as you're explaining that, I'm thinking to myself, they're probably approached it very much with the, well, it's a big dog. We need to exercise it a lot and
train him hard.
And she was out on walks with the dog really quickly after getting it from the rescue. And I thought, see, I wouldn't have walked that dog right away like that because I don't know anything about it.
Exactly.
I don't know what it's going to do.
Exactly.
So I would have been a little more cautious with that. But
100%
were to let's get it out and exercise it. And then, of course, it dragged her down on the ground and broke her balance.
Well, there you go. And again, what is this person acting, improperly? No, not in light of the things that we're told, exercise, socialize. It's never too early to train. And while I'm saying with the juvenile, there can be such a thing as too early to train.
Oh, I totally agree with that. Absolutely.
Never too early to start raising properly, but can be too early to train.
Yeah.
I remember being in a class one time, training in rally obedience, and someone brought in their new 8-week-old.
Oh, God.
Okay.
Oh, no.
And it was a mother-daughter pair.
Oh.
The daughter's handling her dog in the class, and then the mother's handling the new puppy. And here the daughter tells her mom, make sure you say yes every time she does something right.
Oh.
I'm like, really, what does the 8-week-old puppy care about learning behaviors and getting reinforced for them? In my view, with a puppy, the job is to boost their confidence, strengthen them, turn them into little brats that at 6 months you can start training.
Yeah.
I remember seeing a show on dogs with jobs, Val.
Oh, yeah.
Incredible.
Jobs,
This special forces guy in Austria, and you got to give it to the Europeans, they do things a little bit differently than we do here in North America. And he had this fantastic Belgian Malinois, and I'm a huge fan of the breed. And this dog was 2 years old. Her name was Landries. And, training to do all sorts of special forces stuff with her handler, flying out of helicopters. I mean, crazy. And they were asking him about how this dog was trained. And here he said, it was all fun and games the first 8 months.
Yep.
until he turned her into a powerhouse.
Wow.
And that's the kind of dog you want to start training.
Yeah.
This training knocks dogs down. It asks them to behave
Mm-hmm.
in ways that could be counter to instinct, counter to so many things.
Mm-hmm.
So it knocks them down a few notches, right?
Mm-hmm.
And why am I going to do that with a baby?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I'll build up the dog to take me on, to be able to take on the training and be hungry for it, be ready for it. But we do it very early.
Yeah.
You know? And then you have dogs shutting down at 1 or 2 years old, or they can't focus.
Yeah.
They just can't focus, right? Because we've emphasized the training at the detriment of the way of life,
Mm-hmm.
which to me is more powerful than any, obedience training that you could be doing to try to get your dog to not react to people. It's your way of life.
Yeah. And
it's the real training.
I mean, some things that I always just sort of roll my eyes, and I'm sure people are like, oh, I do that. It's like, well, I mean, go ahead if you want. But for me, it's an eye roll. People who go, whatever the dog's name is, Annie, sit.
Yeah.
Good sit. Thank you. Oh, yeah. I just find that hilarious because I'm like, what are you saying thank you for? The dog hasn't got a clue what you mean. I don't understand that.
Now,
it's just like,
now there's something to be said for, obviously there's something to be said for reinforcement, right? Evidently.
I guess it's it's without saying it's a huge thing, right?
Right. But my concern, Val, is that we've made reinforcement the only thing.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you right in there. I just wanted to ask you, what do you think about the training where people are like just constantly treating the dog? Like they have a pouch and they're just full and the treats go in the mouth constantly.
Well, again, Val, it's consistent with the reinforcement paradigm, which is the dominant paradigm in the world of dog training, right? Is operant conditioning, reinforcing behavior that we want. And as I'm sure you know, there's the divide and the arguments in between, so-called positive trainers that rely very much on food and constantly pairing food with experiences that could be scary or unpleasant to make them less so, right? And then at the other end of the spectrum are your so-called balanced trainers that use food rewards, but also the corrections and punishments, primarily with prong collars or remote collars or harsh handling or whatever. And to hear the arguments in between the two camps, you would think they've covered the gamut of dog training. Meanwhile, I'm saying no, there's a whole other aspect that you're not even paying attention to. And that is the way of life aspect, which instead of conditioning behavior and constantly stuffing this dog's face with treats, I'm creating a certain way of life that from the inside out makes the dog behave. I have clients, my clients are the best people to really explain this method.
Yeah.
One of my clients, the way she put it, she said the dog started to make excellent decisions.
Okay.
Right? The idea of being sound, you're clear-headed, you're making sound decisions. What I mean? So the idea of continuing to feed dogs, don't get me wrong, I start with food. Food is basic drive.
Sure, yeah.
Right? So if drive development is one of the important legs of the theory, of the method, developing drives, there's also a progression of drives. So when the pups are born, their first desire is what? Food, and more food.
Yeah.
Right? That it's an instinctive desire.
Yeah.
So when I first bring a dog home and I'm dealing with him as a juvenile, right, Val?
Yeah.
And we're aligning all those aspects of the method of how it looks like at stage one. At stage one, I'm emphasizing food.
Okay.
Food is comforting. Food is bonding. Food is what a dog at stage one desires. But then what starts to happen with my clients is that once the food drive is solid, I continue to ask them to suggest prey drive, play for, work for toys, work for tugs, work for chasing after me, work for scenting things, prey drive. And so we need to eventually work our way out of food and maturing the dog towards prey drive, a dog being willing to work, not so much for food only, but for toys, for tugs, for games,
Yeah.
for more sophisticated obedience work, for sport. So we need to work our way out of food.
Yeah.
Continue to mature the dog. Now, food continues to carry huge value because you want a dog that's driven for food. You absolutely want a dog that loves food and will do anything for food, even if they have a very high toy drive, and even if they have a very high pack drive, which is the next drive up. So pack drive is love and affection and loyalty, all the things we're wanting from a dog immediately, right?
Yeah.
Meanwhile, what am I saying? Develop food drive, start developing prey drive, and then watch for pack drive starting to come through where this dog is like crazy about you, right? Where they start to show you the love that we're all after, right? But it doesn't start right away. You just brought this dog home, you know? Or you've been living with him for 3 years and he's a reactive mess.
Yes.
Right? So where's the bond there? So many dogs come to me, Val, with very poor food drive.
I've heard of, there's,
because they're upset, because they're anxious, because they're not settled, So we start building up that dog's food drive through all of the aspects of the method, which start in a very healthy drive in the dog. The dog starts to feel safe. The dog starts to feel seen as a dog. Start to relax, and now they start to have appetite. And now you have a whole other level of dog.
Yeah.
Wants to work for what you have to offer.
Right. Yeah, I noticed when you talked about soundness, and you mentioned this on in your book on page 31. Wow, was that not amazing listening to Souha's method of training and raising dogs? I don't know about you, but this method really makes you think outside of the box. On my next episode, I will continue my chat with Souha, so keep those notebooks handy because, as I say, knowing is caring.
Thank you for listening to Val Talks Pets. Please remember to follow or subscribe to ensure that you never miss an episode. To really help the show and to make it easier for others to find, please rate and review each episode that you find interesting and helpful. And don't forget that you can also email me at val@valtalkspets.com with topics you would like me to address or with any questions you may have. Also, check out my website at valtalkspets.com and let me know what you think and how we can improve upon it. Thanks for caring.